Another Premier League match, another win, and another step closer to the title. But was it the kind of performance we were hoping for at Anfield, especially against the bottom team in the league? Absolutely not, at least not for the first 45 minutes. But come on guys, when is a Premier League game ever easy? And more importantly, we all know by now that this team loves making things difficult for itself from time to time, right? Jokes aside, that first half was a real scare. But thankfully, it didn't last long. After the break, the Reds came out looking like a completely different team, turning things around and securing yet another crucial 3 points. Still, it's worth asking what exactly went wrong. Because if we don't talk about our mistakes, how do we expect to improve? That's exactly what we'll be diving into in this video. We'll break down why the Reds struggled in the first half, and how Arne Slot once again made the right adjustments to turn things around and prevent the Saints from pulling off a massive upset. So hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's jump straight into it. First things first, let's go through the starting lineup like we always do. For this game we saw some expected rotations, which made sense given the packed schedule, and the 2 massive games on the horizon, with PSG in the Champions League and Newcastle in the EFL Cup final. Alisson kept his spot between the posts, with Trent Alexander-Arnold, Ibrahima Konate, Virgil van Dijk, and Kostas Tsimikas forming the backline, as Andrew Robertson was given some rest on the bench. In midfield, Alexis McAllister made way for Curtis Jones, who started alongside Dominik Szoboszlai and Ryan Gravenberch. Up front, Darwin Núñez was rewarded with a start after his impact against PSG, leading the line with Luis Diaz and Mohamed Salah on the flanks. So what exactly went wrong? Why did we struggle so much in the first half and allow Southampton to have a surprisingly comfortable time at Anfield? Well, both the players and Arne Slot summed it up after the game. Salah admitted that the team was sloppy and slow in the first half, while Slot revealed that he didn't hand out any compliments at halftime, and for good reason. But we all know football isn't that simple, right? It's never just a matter of players not being fully focused or not giving their all. More often than not, it's a mix of mentality and tactical issues working against us. So let's break down exactly what happened. As always, we started the game with our usual 4-3-3 build-up structure. Narrow fullbacks, Gravenberch sitting as the lone 6, and Jones and Szoboszlai operating as the double 8s. But Southampton came prepared. To counter our central progression, they set up in a proactive 4-4-2 mid-block, designed to limit our options through the middle. Their 2 strikers took turns pressing our centre-backs, but they weren't just applying pressure, they were also making sure to cover the mark Gravenberch, effectively cutting off the passing lanes into central areas. This forced us to play around their block rather than through it, disrupting our usual rhythm. But it didn't stop there. Southampton's wide midfielders, essentially acting as wingers, were aggressive in pressing our fullbacks the moment they received the ball. Again, the goal was clear. Cut off any potential passes inside or around the block. This meant Gravenberch had little to no space to turn and drive forward, which severely limited our ability to progress through the middle. Let's take a look at an example from the game. Here you can see us shaping up in our usual 4-1 build-up, with Gravenberch making his run into the central channel. Meanwhile, Southampton are already set up in their compact 4-4-2 shape, ready to disrupt our play. Their 2 strikers are positioned to press our centre-backs, while the wide midfielders are locked onto our fullbacks. At the same time, their 2 central midfielders are closely marking our 8s, making it difficult to find space in the middle. Watch how one of Southampton's strikers constantly jumps on the ball-carrying centre-back, forcing a decision, while the other drops back to cover Gravenberch. And even when their pressing movements weren't perfectly coordinated, Smallbone was quick to track Gravenberch's movement, while one of Southampton's centre-backs stepped up to press Szoboszlai as he drifted wide. This approach from Southampton did exactly what it was meant to do, limiting our central progression, which is usually one of our biggest strengths. And to be fair, this isn't the first time we've struggled against a setup like this. Lille did the same in the Champions League, and Everton used a similar approach as well. In both cases, we lacked that extra edge when trying to build out from the back. But does that mean we couldn't progress the ball at all? Of course not. We still managed to get into the final third, but most of our progress came through the wide areas. Just take a look at these two images showing our progressive actions both in passing and ball carrying during the first half, you'll notice that most of it happened on the right-hand side. And that was exactly Southampton's plan from the start. After all, forcing the ball wide makes defending much easier than dealing with central attacks. But why is it easier, you ask? Well, let's break it down. Once we managed to get the ball into wide areas, Southampton immediately dropped into a variation of a back five. Sometimes a midfielder would drop into the back line to act as an extra centre-back, while in other instances a wide midfielder tracked back to play as a wing-back. This defensive adjustment gave Southampton the numbers they needed to double or even triple up on our wide players. It also helped them track those dangerous, underlapping runs from the likes of Szoboszlai, making it even harder for us to break through. Another issue was that, with our eights drifting wide to support the build-up, we struggled to get the ball into central areas, especially into zone 14. You know, that crucial space just outside the penalty box, and, as we all know, having the ball in that area is one of the most dangerous positions to create from. Put all of this together, form our tactical struggles to the below-par display from the players, and it's easy to see why we struggled in the first half. We were forced out wide, and our wide players, particularly Luis Diaz, found it difficult to beat their markers. That's why we're pretty sure Arne Slot had some special words for him at halftime, because in the second half the Colombian came out firing. But hold on, it wasn't just words that changed the game. Slot also made 3 key substitutions at halftime, shaking things up for Southampton while injecting much needed intensity into our play. Here, you can see Gravenberch drifting slightly wider, while McAllister dropped into the central position. On the right wing, the fluid movement between Salah, Elliott and Trent played a big role as well, helping to manipulate Southampton's defensive block and stretch the gaps between their pressing players. And when we did have to play the ball wide, we did it with more urgency and purpose, exactly what was missing in the first half. In fact, that's the perfect way to describe Diaz's brilliant run leading up to our equaliser. And then the inevitable happened. A quick attack in transition led to us winning a penalty and taking the lead. Once again, it was Harvey Elliott who sparked the counter, stealing the ball and allowing us to catch Southampton's defensive block in a moment of disorganisation. From that moment where Salah converted from the spot, we kept threatening the Saints while keeping their counters limited. The Egyptian king stepped up once again to add the third from the spot, and with Endo coming in, it was curtains. You see, it was never just one thing. We didn't struggle in the first half solely because some players were tired or lacked sharpness, nor was it just down to Southampton's defensive setup. It was a combination of everything. But once Slot had his say in the dressing room, made the right substitutions to bring fresh energy, and implemented key tactical tweaks, we came out looking like a completely different team. And just like that, another game, another win, and another step closer to our ultimate goal. It wasn't perfect, far from it, but in the end, we got the job done. The first half was frustrating, no doubt, but what matters most is how we responded. Arne Slot and the players recognised the issues, made the right adjustments, and completely flipped the script in the second half. That's the kind of resilience you need in a title race. At this stage of the season, every single point is crucial, and performances like these remind us that it's not always about playing beautiful football, it's about finding solutions when things aren't going your way. And to be fair, we've seen this team do that time and time again. Now, with even bigger challenges ahead, we move forward with confidence. The focus shifts to PSG and Newcastle, 2 massive games that could define our season. But if there's one thing we know about this team, it's that they'll fight until the very end. That's all for today, guys. Let us know who you think should start against PSG, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.